Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. We're so happy to have each and every one of you here today. Today is November 9th, and we are the Rotary Club of Gainesville. For guests and visiting Rotarians joining us virtually on Zoom, please identify yourself in the chat if you would. And if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. And without further ado, we have Pete Inwall to lead us in song.
Fellow Rotarians, it's a solemn day, and I know you'll be you can't hear me? Okay. It's a solemn day. Okay. Pull it closer. Gee, okay. There you go. Look at that. Wow. I'll tell you what. Okay, so welcome. This is a solemn day, and we have a solemn presentation, so I know you're going to be disappointed, but there's no joke today. First, I would like to introduce the color guard from the Buholtz High School Junior ROTC Cadet Program to present the colors. Then we will sing the Star-Spangled Banner together. Then we will have the prayer. Fellow Rotarians, will you join me in singing the Star-Spangled Banner? Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed by the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that Star-Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Would you join me in pledging allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for our invocation, Eric Spivey.
In honor of Veterans Day, I'm reminded today that over the past 30 years, I've had the honor of doing many funerals for friends of mine who are veterans in World War II. This coming Sunday, November the 14th, I will do the funeral for Dr. Harold Denmark, a 100-year-old veteran of World War II, the last World War II veteran and First Baptist Church. Before he was a renowned entomologist here at UF, Harold served as a Navy flagman in the Pacific, and then he went on to be a submariner. Because he became a submariner in World War II, he had to serve 2 extra years after the war. which his wife knows now that she had to wait 2 extra years for them to get married. And she may or may not have burned his uniform when he finally came home in 1947 and then to get married. So as we think about the veterans in your life, those that you have known, those that are still around, would you join me in a word of prayer? Lord of grace and love, today we come thanking you for the men and women among us and who have known us in our lives, who have dedicated their lives to service to our country, who have committed to the fight, a fight for peace in a hostile world, and who have worked to make our world stronger, our nation better. May we today not only remember them and honor them, O Lord, may we also dedicate ourselves to fighting for them, to helping them as they come home, to listening to them as they work through the stuff of their trauma, and to fighting for a better life for all veterans and their families. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate it. All right, at this time, we are going to introduce our guests of members. So you may be seated unless you're a guest or a member with a guest. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce my guest today. Brittany Stobie is my guest. She's with Thomas Group Realty. She's also a past recipient of our Rotary Scholarship through the Education Foundation. So welcome, Brittany. Dwight's going to come around with the mic.
Fellow Rotarians, I have 2 visiting Rotarians today who are here for this event. My daughter Dana, you mostly know, and the wife of one of our speakers, Mr. Clawson, Kim, and please welcome them.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go right into announcements by Rotarians. Greg, I think you have an announcement. This thing's not for.
Good afternoon. Just to let you know, as Ryan spoke of last week, this weekend will be the Rebuilding Together project. We're doing one this fall. It will be from 8 to approximately 2, but you can come or go as your schedule allows. We'd love to have you. We do this once a year. So please join us for the Rebuilding Together project. Please see me or contact me or Ryan. I'm co-chair, he's chair, and then we'll give you more details about how you can get involved. It's an outside project, not indoors. So thank you and hope to see you then.
Thank you very much. Okay, TJ, you have a number of announcements for us today. All the good work that you're doing in fellowship.
Oh, hi, everybody. On your table, you have, can you hear me? Oh, all right. On your table, there's an announcement or a flyer for our seafood fellowship on December 2nd at 6 p.m. Tickets are $20. Please consider coming. This is meant to kind of serve as our club, only our club, our replacement for the seafood fellowship, or the, what is it called, Dwight? The thing that Dwight does. So we'll be doing that December 2nd. So please consider coming. Tomorrow, we're going to be packing backpacks at Catholic Charities at 9:30 if you'd like to come. And then on Thursday, we'll be helping at the Evergreen Cemetery Veteran Memorial dedication. So if you're interested, that information is also in your bulletin. And then on Monday of next week, we're going to be doing a wine tasting at Supret, and tickets for that are $25. We have about 11 people signed up. We'd like to get to 15. So if you're interested in coming to drink some wine with us, please do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, TJ. We encourage everyone to come if you can. Wonderful opportunities for fellowship. Jason Shank, you have an announcement, I believe, regarding Wild Game Feast.
Hey, all right. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Chad, thank you so much. I did sign Chad up for all of the fun and fellowships that TJ just announced. So he's ready to go on that. Really just want to thank everybody from our folks here today and our folks that are on Zoom for the warm start that we had for the sponsorships for the Wild Game Feast 2022. So we're off to a very solid start. I think we may have some of those up on the board. So I'll just read through these real quick. Our sponsors have already jumped on. Special thank you to the Southeast Car Agency, the Cousins Family, Community Foundation of North Central Florida, Davis Gas Company, Eubank Family, GSE Engineering, Hills Catering and Barbecue in the back here, Lozano Dental Care, Progressive Orthodontics, Rembert Family, Community Hospice and Palliative Care, Contractor Supply, Shear Construction, TJ and Courtney Pache, Ed Ellett, Radiant Credit Union, and Bobby Hall. So thank you very much for jumping on early. That really gets us off to a good start. But again, remember, every single person that's here today and on Zoom, all of our Rotarians are part of our sponsorship committee. So you can ask anyone you do business with to please jump in. This is a great event that we have coming up and 3 wonderful sponsors. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Jason. We do have a craft talk. Tim, you want to come on up?
All right, hello. Today I'm happy to introduce Alex Worthington to give his craft talk. I haven't gotten to know Alex very well yet, but I can tell you that his membership is sponsored by Richard Allen, so that says something. And also in my last round of craft talk invites, he was the first to respond and he picked the very first date available. So he's got a lot of initiative and energy. He's had a lot of travels so far in his life, and he's had a really interesting career. And I look forward to hearing more about all of that. Welcome, Alex.
I promise I'm not reading this entire thing. All right, like you said, my name's Alex Worthington. I'm 29 years old. I recently moved back into the United States after being gone for about 9 years to focus on real estate and insurance, as well as helping teach financial literacy to younger people between 18 and 25 and the Hispanic community as well. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. This day is not the easiest day for any of us, I don't think, especially those of us who have lost many of our brothers and sisters. Those are relationships and bonds that you can't walk away from easy, and those aren't easy people to lose either. Currently, I work for Watson Realty. I'm also an independent insurance agent, and I own my own translation company known as Worthington King, mostly focusing on taking groups of Americans who like to travel but only speak English to other countries where they don't have to worry about communication barriers. Coming back to the United States, after being almost 30, my grandmother told me I needed to make an important decision in my life. I needed to start planning my wedding or buying cats. So with that being said, for the same reason, many of you have the same favorite question: are you married? My answer is this: to my passport, any plane, train, or vehicle that will get me away from my grandmother and her blind dates. I spent the last 7.5 years of my life living between Mexico and Colombia, traveling the world, managing hotels, teaching English, and brokering ceasefires with the Colombian Department of State and Red Cross International Committee in Quibdó, Choco, Colombia. My life hasn't been that boring yet, but we'll see. You never know what's going to happen. I've more than obsessed with the desire to travel, learn about culture, new languages, and different ways to adapt other people's solutions to worldly problems to mold it to our own community. You are never surprised by seeing the solutions that other people come up with that you would have never thought about. It gets very interesting. I joined Rotary because I have a strong belief of service above self, and truly have a desire to help change not only the community, but the world around me as well. Over my short life, I've come to know every continent except Antarctica. I learned various languages, cultures alike. However, after my trip to Cambodia 2 years ago, I learned something more valuable than any other lesson that I think anyone could learn, and that's the feeling of another person suffering. In this moment, I decided that any and every other opportunity that I had going forward to help those who truly could not help themselves, I would be there for this call of action. That's where Rotary comes into my life. We as Rotarians, as active members, which I think is something that's very important, we have a chance to make a difference because in numbers, there's strength. My future ambitions align with this organization, and I hope to learn from all of you around me. I would like to go into local politics, not as a career, because that's not the idea to get reelected. The point is service and taking care of that community. So being part of this great organization, I hope that it'll provide me the opportunity to get to know each and every member alike and learn something new from each of you. My favorite part about social organizations is no matter how differently each of us may view the world, how politically opposite we are, or how socially different our mindsets are, we're brothers and sisters, and at the end of the day, we're a family. We are Rotarians. And I'm pleased to be a member of this chapter. With today being the day that it is, and also Rotary being founded on the idea of service above self, I'd like to leave you with something from Charles Dickens. No one is useless in the world who lightens the burden of another.
Thank you and welcome, Alex. I'm going to turn the program over to David at this time. President David Gracie.
Thank you, Melanie. Alex, thank you for your craft talk, and you hit on some great points. We are certainly a diverse club. You can look around and see that, but I think it's not only the drive to serve that brings us together, but it's also an appreciation for fellowship. So I hope you'll find some good, authentic fellowship here too. I've got our 4-way test plaque to welcome you to the club. Thank you. Okay, everybody, it's great to see everyone here this afternoon, and we have got a wonderful, a beautiful program, and I have intentionally limited what I'm going to say up here so that we can give time to our speakers. But I do want to give you a report on our board meeting last night, just a couple of relevant points, kind of key things I want to just mention to you guys. And the first one relates to the fact that we have got an awesome room here. We've got, I mean, we're just about full today. That's wonderful. However, we did not know this many people were coming. And so it makes it hard for the folks at Hills to provide the food. And, you know, we talked about this last night, and, you know, we all agree that this is a good problem. Okay. We're never going to turn you away if you don't register, but it helps us from an expense standpoint. And it also helps us. Last week, I'll just be candid with you. I got an email that we had 2 folks who had registered for meals, but didn't get to eat because we ran out. Albeit Hills brings the traditional extra 10% to prepare for that contingency. But, you know, just folks, if you would register, it just helps us so much. So I think that it may be just that there's maybe some people that just aren't used to registering on DAC-DB. And I know it's different. It's different that we've got to register for meals, but we're just hoping you can work with us. If you don't know how to register, you can send me an email, or you can send Chad King an email. He can help you with that. That's a joke. Chad does not know how to register yet either. But really, I think, you know, please reach out to me, and I can help you with that. I know Wesley is a guru with DAC-DB, so we really want to help folks do that. That's important. That's going to help these meetings continue to run smoothly, and we all have good lunches. And the second kind of important discussion point that came up last night in our board meeting had to do with our District 6970 Vibrant Club Seminar that I've been talking about the last few weeks. Well, we had 2 key attendees, Greg Young and Linda Reinhardt, and I'm going to ask them to come up and just give you some quick information about that. And we've got an important award accolade that we're going to do right now also. Please, Greg, Linda.
Thank you, President David. And Linda and I were in attendance last weekend. She stayed for the full show. I had to just go for the day on Saturday, but while we were there, they did the award ceremonies, and this was for last year because they couldn't have a district conference because of COVID last year, but they had great attendance. It was good turnout, good representation from the district. So when we were there, they presented clubs with their awards from last year. And one of the awards that was presented, I would like to have President David present this to our past president, Matthew. And it is the Citation Award. And what that's about is if you set goals at the beginning of the year. If you achieve over half of those goals of a set of 25 goals, if you achieve over half, you receive this award. So with that said, President.
Matthew, congratulations. You know, when Matthew passed the microphone over to me literally in July, I just, you know, said how fortunate we were to have Matthew as president during the pandemic. His tenacity and his ability to run Zoom meetings. I mean, Matthew, thank you for doing what you did to keep this club and achieve what we've achieved and what you have achieved. You are well deserving of this Rotary citation.
Thank you. And it is an honor to receive this, but it was very important that I had a quick minute to say, this is a club award, and each and every one of you adapted to a new venue, you adapted to ordering lunches and new billing structure and all those things. And as a club, you all are amazing. And we as a club did an amazing job. And thank you, each and every one, for doing this in a very difficult time. This is a major accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And we've got our flag here also. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Linda, Greg. Okay. So if you have heard Margaret Combs speak, or if you've read either of her books, you know that she has a genuine, ardent appreciation and respect for the men and women that have worn the uniform. She has a genuine empathy for folks that are suffering post-traumatic stress disorder from their service. And she has worked really hard on a wonderful program. And I'm going to ask Margaret to come up and begin our beautiful program today. Please welcome Margaret.
Thank you. This is our Veterans Recognition Program, and I'd like us to begin with the tradition. Gordon will play the song of specific military branches, and those of you who are veterans of that branch will stand. Please remain standing as the other branches are their music is played, and at the end, will the rest of you Rotarians stand and applaud those who have given service to our nation. Gordon, are you ready? Anyone from the Navy here? The Marine Corps? Yes. And the Army. And everyone, thank you. Thank you so very much, each and every one of you, for your service. I was married to a lifetime sailor, Navy. I learned what service meant, and certainly that's why he always felt at home at Rotary, because it is truly, when you are in the military, service above self, and we are so grateful. And today I'm fortunate enough to bring to you a program from two men, and they're going to teach you a new term and for your vocabulary that really points to the future and how we will take care of our veterans as we go forward. We are grateful not to have any of them in combat today, but we never know what tomorrow will hold. Speaking will be Colonel Perry Clawson. Many of you know Perry. If you were here when I spoke a few weeks ago, Perry was the one on the video that was so breathtaking. Perry's bio is that long, so I won't take his time for speaking to give it to you, but let me tell you, he started his military service in '76 when he went to the U.S. Military Academy. From there, he rose to full colonel, battalion commander in Iraq, and winning many, many military awards and honors until one day it all came to a screeching halt. And Perry had the same thing happen that many of our veterans experienced. And we are grateful that the Wounded Warrior Foundation and 4+ years that he was with them made him whole again. Also, a part of the program today is Michael Anthony, who is the CEO of Gratitude America, which is one of the top programs for working with our veterans who are having PTSD issues. And he was actually an employee of Publix. He was in charge of corporate training of all the managers. And when 9/11 happened, he was one of those who said, I've got to do something. And he joined the reserves. And from there on, his military career has been extended. He actually is attached to a group of health service. He's a health service officer attached to a group in Hawaii. So when he goes for his reserve service, nobody cries too much for him. But Michael, as I say, is the CEO of Gratitude America. And he and Perry are going to teach you about traumatic growth. Gentlemen, would you come forward?
How about another hand from Margaret? Because I tell you, that's one big heart right there. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the dark side of PTSD. And then for you ladies, the eye candy that Margaret's providing here, we'll talk about how we kind of treat that or hope to treat it. And Margaret, I will not forgive you for letting this young guy look so good in that uniform next to this old guy. Today's the day we honor us veterans, but there's a silent majority that I always want to make sure gets recognized. And first, I'd like my wife to stand up. If you were here and saw the video, my wife, Kimberly, for those that don't know her, if you saw the video that Margaret showed, you heard me talk many times. You can sit down now, love. You heard me talk many times about somebody to lean on. I will tell you that the man standing before you today would not be this man if it weren't for that woman. For the last 17 years. I definitely would not be standing probably anywhere. So thank you for that, love. If you've ever been the spouse of a veteran, husband or wife, living or dying, please stand up. Any spouses? Any children, brothers or sisters of veterans, please stand up. Look around. We're the face of the veterans, but these are the people that support us and did support us.
And so on behalf of all veterans, let us tell you thank you, because you never get told thank you. There's no day that says the people that supported Veterans Day, but you all deserve our thanks. So it's an interesting time right now with what's going on for veterans over the last few months. Many people don't realize that veteran suicide is as prevalent as it is. So I'd like, as you can tell, this is participation speech. If that table and that table and that table and that table, if all of you could stand up, please. That is how many veterans every day in this country take their lives. Sit down, please. 20 people a day, 7,300 a year. In 1 year, more veterans take their lives than we lost in the last 20 years of combat in 2 wars in 1 year. And I'll come back to that a little bit later. We don't like the term PTSD. It gives it a bad stigma. It's a disease. I like to say it's a reaction, a response. And I kind of alluded to that in the tape that you all saw. Most veterans that go off, whether they see combat or not, come back changed. And it's not always outwardly. You see people like me that have a Purple Heart, and you think, oh, he got wounded, if you know what a Purple Heart is. Not everybody gets wounded, comes back untouched. People come back with PTSD that just saw things, but never got hurt physically. It's hard to roll through a village and see dead children. So there's a lot of internal scars that aren't as obvious as the external ones. How many of you all have dogs on the 4th of July when all the fireworks are going off, you know? Your dogs get all upset. We have 3 dogs. Guess who's the most upset in our house? Me. Little things you don't understand about veterans sometimes that suffer from PTSD. It took Kim probably at least 15 years to learn to let me sit with my back to the wall whenever we go to a restaurant so that I can see the room. And the first thing I do when I walk in any place is look at where's all the exits to get out. Where's places that I can use to do for cover if somebody comes in and starts shooting. I'm not the guy you want to sit next to if somebody comes in and starts shooting, because I'll throw you at them while I go hide now. You know, I've done my part. Let you do yours. A lot of things set us off. Loud, unexpected noises. And it's hard for the families that have to deal with us. My wife can tell you, I have good days, I have bad days. And it's difficult sometimes. We were driving one time down I-95. She was driving. We were going by a tractor trailer, and its tire exploded. And somehow I went from the front passenger seat to the back seat behind her. I have no idea how I did it that quick, but somehow I did it, because it took me right back to, you can put that picture of me back up there, if you could do it. All right. I don't know if y'all saw the picture of me about 17 years ago that was up there briefly. I was in front of a Humvee holding a AK-47, which is the only time I've ever been assigned an AK-47, by the way. I was with a NATO assignment. I was in that Humvee, 21st of December, 2004. 5.5 hours later, yep, that's it. I looked a little younger back then, didn't I? I like that haircut. That's an unarmored Humvee. They put more armor on them later. 5.5 hours later, that was a smoking ruin from an IED. Young man on top up there didn't make it. I got pulled out of the wreckage. Not many people have a picture that they can look at and say, oh, right after that, my life changed forever, other than maybe a wedding photo because your wife changed you forever. But I have a picture to take me back anytime I want to look at it. It's a daily struggle. And veterans need to lean on other veterans, on their families, and on everybody else to get through it sometimes. So we do appreciate it when you come up and say thank you for your service. But more importantly, if you know a veteran, don't just one day a year thank him for his service, but occasionally just check on them, him or her. A couple weeks back with the Afghan withdrawal, it was tough on so many of us, and not just people of our generation that fought in the Gulf Wars. I know 3 Vietnam veterans that tried to commit suicide because the image of the helicopter from the embassy in Afghanistan taking off took them right back 50 plus years ago to the helicopter in Saigon taking off from the embassy. Something they had put away for 50 years came right back like that on them, and they couldn't handle it. So check on your veterans. The old guy across the street lives all alone. His wife died. Kids moved away. You don't know what's going on, so occasionally just check on him, how he's doing. And I'll end it on a kind of personal note, and I doubt anybody that my wife knows this in here about me. I talked about the 20 soldiers a day that take their lives. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. When I was 3 years old, my real father, who was in World War II in Korea, took his life because he couldn't handle the demons. We didn't call it PTSD back then. They call it shell shock, a lot of things like that. So my family was one of those families left by someone that couldn't deal with it. So I grew up with that. So I told her she's never ever got to worry about me taking my life because I couldn't abandon my family or my sons. But it's tough for people. So now that I've talked all the sad stuff, I'm gonna let the eye candy give you the good stuff. Thank you for your time. It's great to be back here. This is where I started my Rotary journey 9 years ago. So it's nice to be back here. And a life of service is what Rotary is about. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all for that very much.
It's a tough act to follow for sure. Thank you, Colonel Clawson. I appreciate that very much. So I was a little ambitious with my presentation because I chose 11 lessons, and clearly there is not a lot of time. So we're going to burn through those lessons. However, if you'd like to learn more, I will get to Margaret sort of the notes so that if anybody wants to delve deeper, and also I'll share my phone number. So if anybody has any interest in learning more, I'm happy to do so. But high level overview, as it was introduced, my name is Michael Anthony. I am not representing the U.S. Army. I'm wearing my uniform because I'm a veteran and you're allowed to do that, but this is not endorsed by the United States government. As a matter of fact, to be honest, the United States government is fighting the work that we are doing in the nonprofit sector to help veterans heal. So you've heard of the plight and some of the challenges with the VA. The VA is a government organization. People that work at the VA, a lot of them are great, amazing clinicians, but the government has never been known to do anything efficient, and that's really likely the problem. So anyway, with that said, what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about the work that Gratitude America is doing, and we chose sort of the title of 11 lessons of post-traumatic growth. So as Colonel Clawson talked about, everyone's heard of post-traumatic stress. But what we often don't talk about, and what Gratitude America, my charity, is focused on, is lessons of post-traumatic growth, which if you were to distill that down into the Cliff's Notes version, it would mean what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So with these 11 lessons that I'd like to talk about, Gratitude America has been around 10 years. I've been with Gratitude America for 6. I became CEO last year. I'm a product of their program. And so I just wanted to briefly mention Gratitude America has been blessed by the people of Alachua County. We have 2 programs. I'm not going to get too much into the programs, but I'm going to talk about sort of the basis of the foundation of both programs. One, which is for veterans only, and one, which is for veterans and their support persons. About 3/4 of those support persons are spouses like Kim, but they're also, they can bring anyone that supports them because not everyone's married. But in our programs, notable numbers, things that you might find interesting. We actually, and the reason I said Alachua County has been great is our Warrior Path program, the program that is for veterans only. We started in April of 2019, and we hosted it here in Alachua County for almost 2 years until Gratitude America had the capacity to purchase our own property, which is now in McClenny, Florida. So we actually just moved a little bit north because there was a great opportunity for our charity. But for 2 years, we silently did this program right here in Alachua, and a lot of it was able to happen because of great businesses, supporters, philanthropists, so on and so forth. So we are grateful for what you all have done for us as a community, because we wouldn't be where we were without your support for those last 2 years. But we host 24 programs a year. We host the program with spouses all over Georgia and Florida, and our Warrior Path program, we host 12 a year in Baker County and McClenny. We've held 60 military support retreats since our inception, served over 1,800 veterans, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you'll see why the number is notable. And between those 1,800 people, soldiers, airmen, Marines, veterans that we've served, they've had over 3,000 combat deployments. So a lot of deployments, multiple deployments. As a matter of fact, the most deployments of anyone through our program was 10. So pretty tough to go through 10 deployments. So the first lesson that I'd like for you to take away is a lesson about post-traumatic growth. We are focused on the wrong thing. As Colonel Clawson said to veterans, the idea or the moniker of PTSD is kind of cringeworthy because the D means disorder, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. We feel that, yes, there is a diagnosis in the DSM manual, for the psychologists out there of PTSD. We're not denying that, but what we're saying is that post-traumatic stress or combat-related stress actually doesn't have to be a disorder that you lived with or that you live with. The government is often telling veterans that they have to live a life as a diminished version of themselves, and that's not what we want. The veterans that we have in our community are the best society has to offer, and to tell them that this is it for you is not the way to go. So we focus on post-traumatic growth. So about 8% of Americans experience, just in general, not veterans, some sort of post-traumatic stress because bad things happen to good people, as Rabbi Harold Kushner once said. And so it is not unique to veterans, but the interesting point, and I tell the veterans this all the time, just because you're a veteran, just because you served, just because you saw trauma at some point during your service, doesn't mean that you have a monopoly on struggle. Everybody struggles. But what you do is damn near have a monopoly on strength. Veterans are some of the strongest people around. And so if we empower them to grow post their trauma, that's what can occur. So the difference between the traditional models, clinical models serving post-traumatic stress versus the concept of post-traumatic growth is that what we traditionally focus on is the traumatic event itself. So you see these two charts up here. There are two traumatic events. That's the little explosion there. And both of those traumatic events rock you deep to your core. They send you deep down to a depth of depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. And you're down there trying to figure out, right, how this trauma affects you. The difference when we look at post-traumatic growth is with the traditional model on the left, you see that we're trying to get you to cope. We want to get you back close to that baseline, right? That normal level line. But the deal is that when you get rocked to your core, when something traumatic happens to you, there are things that emerge that if you can unpack and understand, you can actually grow stronger and better. There's that moniker, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And you can be better than you were before the traumatic event. Now that's hard for some people that are way down deep below that line to understand, but it's about an education. So that is, there's a lot of lessons of post-traumatic growth, and I could go on and on and on, but I'm limited on the amount of time I have, so I won't go into them. But there's lots of evidence through the world's religions. If you're a religious person, all the world's religions have an element of suffering and coming out of the suffering, right? And then, just in general, Greek philosophy, there's all these ideas where trauma is a catalyst for growth. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is that there is power in struggle. So if we're in Florida, right? And we think about like lobsters, right? Florida lobsters. How do lobsters grow, right? Well, lobsters are a soft, squishy animal, right? In a rigid exoskeleton and a tough skeleton. And when they molt, right, when they shed off that hard exterior to grow, the stimulus for the lobster to grow is that uncomfortable nature. The lobster doesn't know it's time to grow until it gets uncomfortable. When it gets uncomfortable and the shell becomes too confining, crawls underneath a rock, sheds off the rigid shell, right? It's vulnerable under the rock. It takes some time to grow that new shell again. It emerges stronger and bigger, right? If lobsters had doctors, they'd take a Percocet, a Valium, they wouldn't feel that pain, and they wouldn't grow, right? And that's what we're doing to our veterans is we are medicating them so much. I mean, I see veterans come to our program all the time with bags of pills. You get a pill to help your anxiety, then you can't sleep, then you get a sleeping pill. Now you can't wake up, you got to get a pill to wake up. then you have, there's all these things. And so we're medicating people so much that they don't have time to evaluate. So there is power in the struggle. But if you don't want to be uncomfortable, you'll never grow. And we know that because we've all had uncomfortable times in our life where we were shook to our core and we had to work through those things. And those things still live with us. I'm not saying that it's better all of a sudden just because you feel uncomfortable. But if you are taught how to unpack what is the lesson of that trauma, you can actually grow better than you were before. So that's the second lesson. And from post-traumatic growth, what we find is there are 5 elements that occur. So when somebody suffers a trauma, things emerge like new possibilities, things that we never thought of before, deeper relationships, right? We can love harder because we've lost. Appreciation for life, right? There was mentioned twice from 2 speakers that there are people that we serve with that aren't here. Well, here's the thing. I lament that loss, but because those people aren't here to live, if I live my life as a dirtbag and I don't live the best life I can, then I'm not honoring their death. So we have to, as veterans, we can remember, but we have to live strong for them because there are others who cannot live this great life. Personal strength, right? If I live through that, I can live through anything. And then spiritual and existential change. If you're a person of faith, your faith gets stronger, or you at least question, where do I fit in the world? So there are things that emerge as we grow post-traumatically. The third lesson we call, it's not what's wrong, it's what's happened. Now, this is a bit of an eye chart, so I'll blow it up a little bit more for you. But here's the idea. As Colonel Clawson said, when there's fireworks or when there's anxiety or when there are things that are triggering, those are symptoms. Then they go, oh, that veteran has PTSD. They're broken. They jump at everything. They yell, they scream, they get into fights. They do all these things. Those symptoms are actually just a result of the training. Here's a short example. I've been married 20 years. My wife knows that there is a exact way to load the dishwasher. Does anybody in here feel like that? There's a right way and a wrong way, yeah? We all have that, okay? That's the most lighthearted I get, by the way. But there's a right way and a wrong way. Now, I tease about that, but it's true. Attention to detail is necessary when you are a service member, when you are overseas, because if you do not pay attention to detail, people get killed. So my intolerance of mistakes and my attention to detail is not a symptom. It is a function of my training. I was sharply tuned a certain way, right? I was taught to pay attention, but what changed between when I was overseas and when I was home? Because that served me well overseas, did it not, right? Looking for the exits, right? Watching the doors, looking for the ways out. Disney is the most awful place to me in the entire world, even though it's the happiest place on earth, because there's a lot of ways that you can be attacked or killed in Disney, right? But people don't think about that. They're having a great time. I have a miserable time, right? So it's tough. It's tough for us because we've been trained a certain way. So what we try to teach the veterans is, listen, it's not symptoms. What the military did was they spent a lot of money training you to go to war. And then when you get home, they give you a slip of paper, maybe a PowerPoint presentation, and then you're out on the street. And that's it. There's no training to come home. And that's the problem. I remember distinctly, I was shot at on a Thursday. I was at the Publix corporate office in Lakeland the following Thursday, and people were complaining that we didn't have the right kind of flavored creamer. That messes with your head, right? So it's not me feeling sorry for myself. It's just saying the environment changes. You go, what's wrong with you? It's creamer. You're lucky you have coffee, but it's about perspective. It doesn't make us upset with civilians. It's just about perspective. So what we do is we spend time teaching veterans in the far right column how to thrive, how to translate those good skills you had in the military into things that are useful at home. Because you know what? I don't want to make you a civilian, because when bad things happen, who do you hear on the news runs towards the bad things at home, right? We had a veteran who was at that Las Vegas concert where the shooting happened. He came through our program. He ran towards the bullets. His wife was shot in the leg. He really struggled with that, but he did triage for 2 hours, right? Because he ran towards it while everybody pulled out their phones to take video instead of doing something. So we want you to have those skills, but we're in Gainesville. We're not in Baghdad. So we can turn it down, right? It's not on off. We want to install a dimmer switch. The fourth lesson rather is the power of routine. I'm running real short on time, so I'm going to get real quick here. But the power of routine. In the military, we had routines. When veterans get out, they say, I'm not going to work out anymore. I'm done with that. I'm done getting up at 4 a.m. Veterans crave routine, just like all human beings. We like the routine. So when they come to our program, they got to get up early. We make them work out. We make them journal. We make them write down gratitude. We put them to work, and we work them from sun up until sundown, just like they were in the military. And within days, they grow. As a matter of fact, Dr. Brett Moore, who's a retired Army psychologist, there was an article that came out in JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, where they said that new and innovative and engaging approaches for the treatment of PTSD are needed. The program that we have, Warrior Path, Brett Moore, who's an Army psychologist, said in just 2 days, Warrior Path achieves breakthroughs that would take the average medical model 12 to 14 months. We do it in 2 to 4 days because it's just about training, because veterans are good at training. They're good at growth, but they've been told by the government that they have to live a life as a diminished version of themselves, and they believe it. Regulation practices. We teach all sorts of regulation practices at Warrior Path. We do archery, we do hiking, we do meditation, journaling, expressive arts, equine therapy, kayaking, nature-based recreation. We do it all because you have to learn how to regulate the ups and downs of life. If you don't have any hobbies because you stay shut in and you're drinking all day and you're polishing your weapon, that's not healthy. So you have to have healthy ways to regulate. So we introduce regulation practices, and that's good for everybody's mental health. To get out and about, to have hobbies, to have things that engage you, it's a healthy thing. Disclosure is extremely paramount in post-traumatic growth. So this is a picture of a soldier with a rucksack. We call it a rucksack. It's a backpack. They're heavy. The average infantryman carries around a little over 100 pounds on their back. I use that as an analogy for deployments. All right. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. I've been to Africa. I've been to Korea. I've been all over the world. And every time I pick up rocks and I put them in my backpack, those rocks can be traumas, right? Heavy, weighty things. A soldier, a service member will carry that weight and won't complain about it, and they'll drive on. But that weight eventually gets too heavy and they break, right? So you have to have time. You have to take those rocks out of the rucksack and unpack them. And disclosure is what it's all about, being able to share those experiences and unpack them because the weight becomes too heavy. So that's what a lot of veterans are doing, is they're walking around with this heavy rucksack. Lesson 7, veterans are people of service. We raised our right hand to say we were going to do something better than ourselves, right? And that service shouldn't end when you get home. But what happens with a lot of veterans is when they get discharged, especially prematurely. This is Mike Hilliard. He is the program director for our Warrior Path program. He was shot in the head in Iraq and Baghdad in 2008. That is him today, or, not long ago. He is an example of the power of service, because when he got out, he thought the military was all he ever wanted to do. He was going to retire. Now he's shot in the head, and now he can't, his brain looks like a kidney bean under a MRI. But he has created a new life, a life that he never knew, because he's serving here at home. And veterans are told by the government, you've been injured, here's 100% disability, which is great. I mean, they deserve all the money that we could ever give them if they were shot in the head, but they don't deserve to be told, you will not do anything more with your life because you're not allowed to work so long as you accept this check from the government. You're not allowed to serve. You're not allowed to do things in the community because you're receiving this disability check. And that's not right. So we have to re-engage or reignite that service. Lesson 8, our programs are a little different. There are 45,000 veteran serving nonprofits in the country, about 4,500 in Florida alone. Most of them do not a lot. And I hate to say that, but it's true. They're well-intentioned, but the money is spread so thin, it's very hard. You know a lot of the very big names. You may not even have heard of Gratitude America, and that's fine because we don't spend any money on advertising. But the difference between our programs and a lot of programs out there is there's programs for veterans to go deep sea fishing or skiing or fly fishing or horseback riding, and all those are great. One of the very biggest nonprofits in Jacksonville sends veterans to concerts, to outdoor activities, to all kinds of things, and that's great. A veteran deserves a nice experience. They deserve everything we could ever offer them. But when they leave that outdoor activity or they leave that concert, they don't leave changed. They don't leave for the better. They just leave having had a good time. We don't give them a fish. We teach them how to fish. Our programs are not fun. They are hard work. We bring the veterans in for 7 days up in Baker County, and then they spend the next 18 months working on basically a college course in how to grow post-trauma. After 18 months, they've built some habits and they are changed forever. What we are trying to do is to connect the head and the heart. Everything in the military is action, reaction. There's no time for heart in combat because the heart is sticky, but you need the heart. That's how people live. Well, when veterans are disconnected from here to here, they're still living at home here, and this is disconnected because the military shut it off. So we have to connect the head and the heart. So 18 inches here, we say takes 18 months to connect because it is a lot of training to get us the way we are when we leave post-service. Lesson 9, I'm going to brag a little bit about Gratitude America. Our results speak for themselves. These are just a few of the results. We've been doing a longitudinal study with the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Over the 18 months, we followed veterans for several years now at this point, and these are some of the results that we're seeing. Reductions in suicidality, 66%, drug abuse, 44%, depression, 52%. So there's a lot. Wars in the rearview mirror. So as you drive away today, think about that. Veterans are looking in the rearview mirror, right? And they are lamenting all of the loss and the things behind them. However, there's a big windshield in front of us, right? And so when we think about it, the rearview mirror is for reference, not for residence. That's where veterans are living. They're living in the rearview mirror, but we have to teach them to look forward into the next half. How are you going to live the next half of your life? Are you going to live it feeling sorry for yourself and sad? Or are you going to grow? And are you going to do great things for our nation? And then lastly, gratitude. That's the name of our organization, is Gratitude America. I would love to talk broadly about the gratitude, but I think Colonel Clawson shared how grateful we are for the people in this room. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak, and having gratitude for this wonderful nation that we're in is all because of the hard work that the veterans and those who support them have done. So thank you very much.
Okay, folks, if everyone will just please remain standing, we're going to ask our ROTC guys to retire the colors. Okay, everybody, how about a round of applause for the Buchholz Junior ROTC? Great job, guys. Thank you. Michael, Perry, Colonel Clawson, thank you guys for being here today. You put a lot of time into that presentation, Michael, and I'm sorry that we ran out of time. We were aware that we had a lot going on. That's just how these meetings work, but we enjoyed your presentation. And Perry, it's great to see you live. We got to see you on video a couple of months ago, and it's great to see you again, brother. I know it's almost cliche to say thank you for your service, but you know, I'll go on and say thank you for your sacrifice that each of you made, and thank you for fighting to give us what we'll never take for granted, and that is the freedom to gather like this and to salute the flag and to do the things we like to do as Americans. To commemorate your talk today, I've got a coin that I know Perry is somewhat familiar with. I'm not going to ask you to recite it with me, but on the front, it has our Rotary motto, service above self. And you guys each exemplify that for sure. On the back, it has our Rotary four-way test, Michael, which is something we run by everything that we think, say, or do as Rotarians. We ask, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you guys for being here today and for your service. Melanie, would you give me a drawing there? Thank you, Melanie. The last three digits for our Rotary Safari 50% drawing is 161. 161 is the ticket. Have a good week, everybody. Oh, pardon me. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, Pete, come on up. All right.
First off, let's give Margaret Combs a round of applause for putting a great program together. We're going to sing "God Bless the USA" by Lee Greenwood. If you don't know the words, they're on the table. There's one sheet per table, so you have to share. Oh, it's on the screen. Oh, great. Okay, so I'm going to sing the verse, and then we're going to sing the chorus together twice. Okay, got it?
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd work for all my life, if I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at last I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to them and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt that I love this land. God bless the USA. One more time. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to them, and they're still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt that I love this land. God bless the USA.
We're adjourned.